Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. We have our headphones in because there's a new hero trailer for Isabella, the Graveborn hero. We're gonna go ahead and break this down. Let's start.
Curses are also a kind of knowledge.
Isabella loved reading from a young age and found endless knowledge within her books. She believed that knowledge is the key to strength in shaping her destiny, but that belief was shadowed by a curse.
Dream Realm and Supreme Arena. We have the Dream Realm tag. Now, we have to take it with a grain of salt after what has happened with Aliceth, who also had the Dream Realm tag. But she has some synergy with other key Dream Realm heroes like the twins, like Baelran, like Karak. Let's see what she can actually do.
One that has haunted her since childhood. And I, as her elder sister, could never protect her from it. The Tome of the Dead in Isabella's hands records spells of mysterious power. At the beginning of every battle, Isabella selects the frontmost ally as her companion. Whenever her companion receives a specific buff, Isabella gains a stack of spell notes based on the stat the buff provides. After Isabella casts her ultimate, Grimoire Pact, she temporarily increases her companion's attack and haste. Each spell note stack further enhances the corresponding stat buff.
Okay, this is very interesting. It is going to be a buff for the frontline companion ally. Whenever the companion receives a buff to attack speed, haste, physical defense, or magical defense, or vitality, almost every stat, Isabella gains a stack of a permanent spell note corresponding to the buff stat. Each spell note can stack up to a set limit, and when Isabella casts her ultimate, she will temporarily increase her companion's attack and haste, so that's kind of fixed, and each spell note stack will further enhance the corresponding stat buff, either attack or haste, I guess, or yeah, okay, this is, okay, so frontline, the first thing that comes to mind is a Nocturne Judicator Midnight Hunter. You know, he is the only form of damage for that Dream Realm boss, and you want to buff him as much as possible. So I think already Isabella is going to be a must pull for Nocturne Judicator. Like, just from this ultimate, all we've seen just 50 seconds into the trailer alone. But for other content, we'll have to talk about it, but let's go ahead and continue.
Apart from me, books might be the only thing Isabella can rely on. When Isabella chants her spells, she heals her companion and then deals damage to enemies around them. Her companion then recovers health equal to a portion of that damage. Even as a
So Lingering Grayscale, Isabella heals her companion and deals damage to adjacent enemies to her companion. Didn't seem like that much damage. A portion of the damage is also converted into extra healing for Isabella's companion. Okay, I'm not very interested in this skill. Like, even for example, when you're talking about Dream Realm, you just want damage boosting, which is by buffs. So buffs is really interesting for Dream Realm. But like healing, a bit of minor damage, I mean, this is not going to really do anything. And the skill exclusively targets her companion. Maybe there's a PvP oriented skill, but like, I'm not liking this skill really.
Child, Isabella could communicate with spirits. When her companion suffers from control effects for a certain duration, Isabella can make them unaffected for a few seconds. This effect can only trigger once in a while. When an enemy hero deals a specific amount of total damage to her companion, Isabella temporarily reduces that enemy's attack.
Okay, so there's a couple of interesting things here. This is again seeming a bit more PvP, like when you're crowd controlled, then she's going to provide you a brief state of unaffected, which is a PvP oriented thing. Maybe AFK stages as well, and also reducing attack of someone after they deal a certain amount of damage to your frontline, basically buffed ally. Again, it seems like maybe AFK stage, maybe more PvP oriented. For like boss content, again, this is not really going to be helpful. So yeah.
These protective spells allow her companion to stand fearless in the fray. With her exclusive skill unlocked, Isabella's ultimate also targets the enemy hero who has dealt the most cumulative damage to her companion during the battle, temporarily applying a debuff that reduces the stat linked to her ultimate's active spell.
Reduces the stat linked to her ultimate's active spell note. So we knew that the ultimate, basically, it buffed. I don't know. Okay. Is a spell note going to be for those 6 different stats that we talked about, basically defenses, attack, you know, all the things, vitality. Is that also going to be what her spell note writes down? And then is she going to be able to reflect basically all of those debuffs onto the target? If that is the case, then that's crazy for Dream Realm. If it's only going to be, you know, that attack and haste buff, which is granted to your ally when she casts her ultimate, if it's only going to be a potentially attack and haste reduction to the target, that's not useful for bosses, because again, you don't really need that, other than maybe for some minor pre-endless bosses where the survival issues and that attack buff can make a difference. When we talk about endless bosses, it's just a matter of how much damage you can output, and you just want debuffs which reduce defenses or increase your damage output potential. So if it's only going to be an attack and haste debuff, this is good for PvP again, but it is not good for Dream Realm. You don't need that. So it will depend. Is it also going to be all the different stats which were referred to earlier? Is it even potentially that you could get like a physical and magical defense shred with this debuff with her ultimate? We don't know that, and it hasn't shown it here. It's only showing attack.
But it was that power that brought so much disaster and misfortune. It is clear that Isabella is capable of reinforcing units that focus their attacks on a single enemy. The frontmost allies she selects will receive powerful buffs from her. Whenever that ally gains a specific stat buff, Isabella...
See, look at this. Leica gave an attack speed buff to the Velka, but when Isabella casts her ultimate, she's only giving an attack and haste buff. It seems she's always giving an attack and haste buff to the Leica, and I can't even see if any debuff was put onto the enemies.
It creates a spell note corresponding to it, further enhancing the effect. It is this gift that lets Isabella unleash her strength when the moment is most dire. There. This is the very book that recorded her actions on the battlefield.
Yeah, they bring out the Midnight Hunter. Midnight Hunter, yeah, there's no question that Isabella is going to be best in slot for Nocturne Judicator, because your whole game plan for Nocturne Judicator is buff your Midnight Hunter as much as possible and debuff the boss as much as possible. Isabella is going to give, even if it's only attack and haste buff to that Midnight Hunter, that's going to increase his damage output by a lot. So there's basically no debate. I can say with almost like 99% certainty Isabella is going to be the best in slot for Nocturne Judicator team. But for all other boss content, I don't see it. Just attack and haste buff to one frontline ally and just attack debuff onto the enemy, that's not enough. That is not enough for other Dream Realm content. So it's really just you recruit her for Nocturne Judicator, and you know, what if next season we don't have Nocturne Judicator, then what do you do with Isabella? And that's the thing. So yeah, let's just watch this.
That recorded her actions on the battlefield. She selected a companion who gradually received various stat buffs from other allies. One by one, Isabella recorded those buffs and converted them into stronger stat bonuses.
Stronger stat bonuses, but again, I'm only seeing attack and haste basically granted by Isabella's ultimate. If we just watch this play back again to where we have it here. So she's going to cast her ultimate. Watch the buffs onto the Midnight Hunter.
She selected a companion who...
Okay, an attack debuff onto the boss. This crit type of buff that he has, I think that's already innate on him, and I think it's just the attack and haste.
Gradually received various stat buffs from other allies. One by one, Isabella recorded those buffs and converted them into stronger stat bonuses. Meanwhile, she healed her companion and made them unaffected, turning them into a force.
And again, another cast of Isabella and another attack and haste buff. Like, of course, this is strong for Midnight Hunter, don't get me wrong. But, like, it seems like it's only attack and haste buffs that she's providing or amplifying when she casts her ultimate. But, like, yeah, when you're cycling that onto Midnight Hunter, it's going to be ridiculous. It is going to be ridiculous. And, like, the score gap I'm already imagining for the Isabella and no Isabella teams for Nocturne Judicator is going to be insane. Yeah, pairing her with, here, buff givers like Elijah and Lila or Smokey and Mirki makes her skills even more effective. Yeah, you want to buff your frontline ally because then she records it as a spell note, and then she will apply more bonus buffs onto that target when she casts her ultimate. And of course, you also like her with the twins because it allows her to recover energy more quickly and keep cycling her ultimate. Yeah, it's all about, Isabella's all about buffing one single frontline ally. The other one which comes to mind is Perseus, who is a hero which really scales hard off of buffs, and he is, technically, he could even work in the front line as kind of like a pseudo tank and damage dealer, but it looks like Isabella needs to cast her ultimate before she actually provides any of these buffs, and that will take a while. She seems to be beginning with low energy. Actually, we can't know for sure, but like unless she has pre-fill energy, it's going to take a while for her to charge up to cast an ultimate.
To be feared on the battlefield.
In PvP, I mean, because Perseus is just a PvP hero.
At last, Enemies fell beneath her curse, and the record ends there. But after that mission, I never brought her with me again. Her body was too weak for long journeys, just as my mind could never take in the knowledge found in books. Keeping her far from conflict is the only way I know how to protect her.
Okay, guys, so Isabella, obviously she is a hero from AFK Arena and kind of like a fan favorite in that regard. October 10th is when she's going to be coming out, and overall her kit is very interesting, very unique, and for a boss like Midnight or Nocturne Judicator where you need to buff your Midnight Hunter as much as possible, there is no question in my mind that she is going to be meta. But for other Dream Realm content, honestly speaking, I do not see it. I just do not see it. Just a single buff onto a frontline ally. Like, you're not even going to have your main damage your front line. Normally you have the twins buffing them, and then the twins are going to be at least front line, so it's just going to be tough. And also it seems only attack and haste buff, so if you're talking about like Baelran doesn't really want attack buff. Haste buff can help him for the attack speed to attack quicker, but twins can provide the haste buff. So even for like endless content, when you're thinking about like a frontline tank to just scale hard in Dream Realm, I'm not seeing it on Baelran. For Isabella's support. For PvP, I mean, interesting with Perseus or again any frontline tank, but it looks like she needs to cast her ultimate before she can apply those buffs, and that's going to take a while. She may just die before casting her ultimate. So overall, I'm only seeing her as kind of like probably necessary for Nocturne Judicator. However, if her buffs do not scale on her own stats, I'm hoping that is the case, and you can just take her to, like, you know, she might even work at low copies. As long as she can survive and, like, get off her ultimate, as long as that scaling of those buffs is not on her own stats, her own attack or something, and they're on the stats of the target, then I can definitely see how Isabella could be usable even at low copies, low investment. But if her buffs scale off of her own stats, that is a very scary thing, because then you're also going to need to invest highly into her just to provide a high enough buffing. Like, you know, Hugin, he gives attack buffs, but like from his shielding, but that is going to be based on his own stats, right? So like the higher upgraded Hugins are going to attack buff more than the lower upgraded Hugins. That is the thing. But overall, cool hero. Of course, people also A-level Gradeborn wish list. They're looking for another target, another candidate, and she will probably be a good one, at least to definitely build up on your account. But let me know your thoughts about Isabella in the comment section. Is there anything I missed? Any other applications that you think are interesting? Feel free to share in the comment section down below. But thanks for watching. If you guys are not already a member of my AFK Journey Discord server, please join that. There's a link to that in the description of this video. Also, if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight store. There's a link to that in the description of this video and a pinned comment. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.